Have you heard of the Cooperative Principles? Stay tuned today as we learn about what they are and how they apply to credit unions. Hello and welcome to Headlines in Fine Print. I'm Dion Williams, President and CEO of Piedmont Advantage Credit Union. On today's episode, we're going to talk about the Cooperative Principles. Now, there's 7 of them officially, and then there's an 8th that we'll talk about that's come about in recent years, but they all apply to credit unions, and I look forward to having a good discussion about that. So when we're going through the program today, I'll read them, and then I'll pause and talk about them a little bit for the application. But before we get into that, I just want to invite you to like or share our program if you are so inclined. We have the programs archived on YouTube and Spotify, so I encourage you to help to get the word out because we're really excited about what we're doing with the podcast and trying to spread financial education and literacy in the communities that we serve. So the cooperative principles are not unique to just credit unions. You may have heard of electrical co-ops, agriculture co-ops, and it goes well beyond both of those. So cooperatives, they're in many aspects of society, and here's kind of the underlying theme of all of them. They're member-owned, so the members own the cooperatives, and that's kind of a theme that we'll tie together as we go through these today. So with no further ado, let's begin with the first principle, the first of those 7 principles, voluntary and open membership. Credit unions are voluntary, not-for-profit financial cooperatives offering affordable financial services to those eligible and willing to accept the responsibilities and benefits of membership without discrimination. So that's a lot to unpack there. So let's start with the not-for-profit nature of credit unions. So we do earn profits, so to speak, but let me tell you how we give them back to you as an owner of the credit union, because as a member of the credit union, you're an owner of the credit union, which gets to the heart of cooperatives. So 3 things we do with the quote-unquote profits. First of all, we give them back to you by way of low fees or no fees when possible. Secondly, we give you favorable rates of return on your deposit products with us, your dividends that you earn, and we keep the loan rates as affordable as possible for you. And then the third thing that we do is we invest in your experience for the future. So if we open up a new branch or a new ATM or launch a new service. Last year, for example, we upgraded our core system. So those are the investments we make in the future of the credit union to enhance your experience. So there's profits, but as a cooperative, we find ways to return those for you to add more value to your membership in the credit union. The second principle, democratic member control. Credit unions are democratic organizations owned and controlled by their members, with equal opportunity for participation in setting policies and making decisions. Therefore, each member has 1 vote. So as a member of the credit union, as we stated before, you're also an owner. And also, as we've discussed in previous episodes of Headlines in Fine Print, it doesn't matter if you have $5 on deposit or $1 million on deposit. You're all equal in the credit union. So your vote with $5 is just as important and equally weighted as that person that may have $1 million on deposit for us. So that's how all members are equal in governing the credit union. And as far as taking the governance one step further, a board of directors is elected by the membership. And so we have 9 board members that's elected by the membership who represent the 30,000 members of Piedmont Advantage Credit Union. The third principle is member economic participation. So again, members are the owners of the credit unions, and as such, they contribute to the capital of the credit union and directly impact its financial success. Members realize benefits in proportion to their relationship with the credit union and use of its products and services. And I can't say this any more simply than the credit union is better and stronger, all credit unions are, when there's heavy participation from the members. And just kind of breaking down the equation to the most basic form, you have savers and you have borrowers. So if you're a saver in the credit union, you earn dividends on your deposits. And if you're a borrower, of course, you pay interest on those loans, and we try to give you the best possible deal on that. So we have the net interest margin, which is the difference of what we earn on the loans compared to what we pay out in dividends. And again, that's what takes us back to, we talked about earlier, the profits, where we find ways to give those back to the membership. Principle 4 is autonomy and independence. Credit unions are independent, self-reliant organizations controlled by their member owners, not outside stockholders. Credit unions entering into agreements with other organizations must ensure continued democratic control by the members. So we do have third-party relationships that help us deliver our services to you. For example, we're on the MasterCard platform for our debit card and credit card programs. And we work with our third-party ATM providers, and we work with a third party on our core processing system. But they're third-party vendor relationships. You, as a credit union member, you're the ones that own the credit union, and that's true of all credit unions. The members are the owners. But let me take this opportunity to draw another distinction that we've talked about in prior episodes. So we've mentioned previously that whether you have $5 on deposit or $1 million on deposit, you're equal owners of the credit union. So let's contrast that to our friends on the banking side of the equation. So with a bank, you could be a customer, but not a shareholder, or you could be a shareholder and not a customer. But if, as a shareholder, you could have more shares than me, therefore you have a larger say in the bank than the person with lesser shares. So all that goes out the window with credit unions. If you're a member, you're an owner, you're a shareholder, you're a quote-unquote customer, and you're all equal regardless of what you have in the credit union. And I think that's one of the beautiful parts of credit unions, that equality there among our member owners. Principle 5 is education, training, and information. Credit unions educate and train members, employees, and volunteers so they can contribute effectively to the development of the credit union. In addition, credit unions provide financial education for their members and the public. And I'm going to give you 4 examples of what the credit union does in this realm. So first of all, we have scholarship programs that we give out each year to our students that are striving for higher education. Secondly, we have the PACU Foundation, which over the past 4 years has distributed $100,000 to charities in the areas that we serve that focus on financial literacy and helping folks going through financial hardship. We have a youth program to bring up that next generation of members and teach young folks good money management habits at a young age they can carry with them throughout their whole life. And then the fourth one I'll mention is this podcast. This podcast is for members of Piedmont Advantage and anybody else in the communities we serve or anybody else in the World Wide Web that is watching this podcast. So we believe that financial education is something that we put out there and we don't charge for it. We want a more informed public on financial literacy topics. Principle 6, cooperation among cooperatives. And we actually talked about this in one of our January episodes. So credit unions serve their members most effectively and strengthen the cooperative principles by working with other cooperatives through local, state, regional, national, and international structures. So in our previous episode, when we were dispelling some credit union myths, one of the examples we cited for the accessibility of credit unions was the shared branching network. And you may recall that literally there's access to thousands of branches and ATMs throughout the country and even the world through this shared branching network. So if you're a Piedmont Advantage Credit Union member, there's branch locations of other credit unions in other states that our members can go to. And likewise, members of those credit unions in other states can come to Piedmont Advantage Credit Unions in North Carolina. So that's just the epitome of cooperatives cooperating with one another. It's not in a competitive way. It's in a way that we're trying to make sure we take care of our members. And again, that network of branches and ATMs rivals that of the largest commercial banks. Principle 7, concern for community. Credit unions work for the sustained development of communities through policies developed and accepted by members. Credit unions seek to achieve a greater good through responsible corporate citizenship. Now, again, not to pick on banks in this episode, but bankers might cry foul and say, well, credit unions aren't subject to the Community Reinvestment Act. And there's a reason for that, because community involvement is at the core of what we do. The PACU Foundation is nothing that we do because of legislation or someone in Washington, D.C. or Raleigh, North Carolina telling us we have to do it. We do it because we love our members, we love the communities that we serve, and we know it's part of our mission to give back to those communities, to strengthen them. I believe in rising tide lifts all boats, and we really believe in putting our money where our mouth is and letting our actions speak louder than words by reinvesting in our communities and helping our members with home ownership, with consolidating debt, with finding solutions for sending their kids to college, you name it. We really take our community duties, we take them to heart, and it's a labor of love for us. So going back to 2019, there was a movement in the credit union industry for an 8th cooperative principle, and it's been widely accepted in the credit union space specifically, and that's diversity, equity, and inclusion. Cooperatives believe we are stronger when a proactive effort is put forth to engage everyone in governance, management, and representation. Now, this principle is consistent with everything we've talked about today. All members are equal. We promote thrift among all members. Our democratic government represents the interest of all members, and we embrace the communities of all members where you live, work, worship, go to school. So I just thought I would put that out there, that internationally, that 8th cooperative principle is something that's still gaining traction for adoption, but at Piedmont Advantage and throughout the credit union space, it has been widely adopted and for an 8th cooperative principle. So in terms of closing thoughts, today we covered the cooperative principles. And again, it goes outside of the credit union space, but just wanted to tie it specifically to the credit union space. And you heard some very consistent themes from me today. I kept saying all members and stressed the equality of members in the credit union space. You all have an equal voice and equal vote in the governance of the credit union. And we think that's one of the things that makes credit unions unique, whether it's Piedmont Advantage or any credit union in the country or the world, that you can actively participate in the governance of the organization and understand that everything we do is to benefit you as a member owner. So again, if you're so inclined, feel free to like, share, follow us on YouTube and Spotify. And if this topic resonated with you or you'd like to learn more about past topics we've covered, be sure to visit us online where we have those archived. Thank you so much for joining us today for this episode of Headlines in Fine Print with Dion Williams. In 2025, we're launching 2 episodes per month, so we're excited to have more content coming out to you this year. We have a wealth of resources on staff, from wealth management to credit counselors and our staff that can help you with any of your financial needs, from deposit accounts to mortgage loans and other consumer lending needs. If you have an idea for a topic, I'd love to hear from you. Or if you have some questions or feedback to provide about today's topic or topic from any past show, my email is dion.williams@pacu.com. That's dion.williams@pacu.com. And my phone number is 336-750-7088. So always welcome your feedback and how we can deliver more content to you. Thank you again for listening, and we'll see you next time.